Welcome to the show, everyone. I'm JJ Flazanes, your producer and empowerment strategist. Thank you for downloading today's episode. Today, we're going to talk about how to have healthy love. And this is an episode that I'm sharing with you. It came from a private summit called the Healthy Love Show, and I was blessed to be able to share it with you here. So before I tell you a little bit about the host of the Healthy Love Show, Anastasia Frank, let me remind you that today's show was on a Zoom call, so it was video and audio, but I only have the audio to share with you. There must have been a couple of internet issues, a couple times it cut out, so if you get jolted into a sentence from another sentence, I apologize in advance. It happens about 3 times, I think, throughout the entire interview. And we talk a lot about how to embody healthy love on this show and on her show for her listeners and her audience. And whether you're a woman or a man, because I know I do have you guys out there listening, you're quieter than the women are, but this applies to you too. This isn't just for women. And it also leads me to want to strongly encourage all of you to really consider, I know I'm a broken record, bear with me, come to the boot camp, because guess what we're going to do? We're going to teach you how to embody this. We're going to take you through practices physically to embody these principles that I'm going to talk about on today's show. It's one thing to hear it. It's another thing to do it. It's one thing to do it on your own. And it's another thing to come to a place where you are literally going to be supercharged by the other people around you. I promise that for most of you, not all of you, but for a lot of you, the room that you come to will be a very different experience than something you've ever had before. Now, you may have high vibe tribes in other places that you enjoy, but some of my top clients who are super high vibration have told me that even their closest friends are not like as high level as the people from my community. So this is my last time to beg and to plead to come to the boot camp. It is going to help you embody what I'm talking about. So whether you want to have healthy love, you want to have healthy abundance, healthy relationship with money, healthy relationship with your body, which we talk about on this show also. And again, this is for men and women. Yes, the majority of the people will be there, will most likely be women. However, Doug and Michael, and we've got a bunch of other men that are coming, Josh. So we will have that anger in the room. And again, it's going to be an extremely allowing, inviting, and exhilarating experience. And again, there's not that many opportunities to do it. So I invite you to reach out if you need a payment plan. Otherwise, jjflazanes.com/bootcamp. We can hook you up with a roommate for the hotel, and it's going to be an amazing event. So shout out to Anastasia Frank, who allowed me to republish this conversation that we had, because I thought it had enough value to share it with you guys, and not all of you probably got access to this. Anastasia Frank works with highly driven women who've achieved success in every area of life except love to call in and keep their dream soulmate partnership. She has supported thousands of women to create connected, committed partnerships, as well as abundant, purpose-driven work that lights their souls on fire. Through her Abundant Love Mastery methodology, she teaches women how to create unprecedented levels of self-love and pleasure so they can embody their most magnetic selves and organically attract all the love and abundance they desire. She's got a free gift. If you go to the show notes, it's 25 joy generators and 3 ways to powerfully uplevel your joy on the path to love. The link is too long for me to tell you right here, so make sure to click below into the show notes so you can download that 25 joy generator and 3 ways to powerfully uplevel your joy on the path to love. Enjoy today's episode.
Welcome, JJ Flazanes, to the Healthy Love Show.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Yay. I'm excited to have you here. People don't know what's about to hit them. So JJ is an empowerment strategist and the host of several podcasts, including the People's Choice Awards nominee Spirit, Purpose, and Energy. She is the director of Invisible Fitness, a best-selling author of Fit to Love, How to Get Physically, Emotionally, and Spiritually Fit to Attract the Love of Your Life, and the Invisible Fitness Formula, 5 Secrets to Release Weight and End Body Shame. And she is here today with us all because she has some of the most incredible soulmate manifesting processes and commitments that I have ever seen. So That is really, really powerful. So that is JJ. So we have a powerhouse, and that is very exciting. I'd love to dive in could you share a bit about your personal journey to healthy love and how specifically you use the law of attraction to get physically, emotionally, and spiritually fit in order first to have your first marriage and then the partner you're with now?
Sure. Well, I've been a trainer for 20 years, 21 years almost, maybe even longer. And I've always sort of wanted to dive a little deeper into not just what we're eating and how we're exercising and what's healthy for us, but why we're doing it. And I've always come from a place of self-respect, like a deep sense of self-respect. Not always. I mean, I was definitely had shame when I was growing up also about body image and things also. But at some point I recognized that had switched and flipped, and that I was an oddball in the fitness industry who wasn't trying to really just shame people or, want to guilt trip them into eating a certain way or exercising or looking a certain way. And I knew intuitively there was something very, very deeply wrong with that. And I had learned about the law of attraction in 2002 in terms of I identified the teachings. I went back and recognized how I had been using it all my life. but once I sort of got clear and once I understood what the power was and what I could do if I was actually aware and making choices that were conscious, things just made a huge shift for me. And when it came to relationships, I'd always kept a list. I'd read Dr. Sheree Carter Scott's book, If Love is a Game, These Are the Rules. And because if life is a game, these are the rules was a game changer for me back in 1997. And so when If Love is a Game came out, I'd already been making a list of like what I wanted in a partner. And every time I made a list, I would manifest the list. I would get a guy that would be that list. And then I would have a relationship. And then I'd go, wait a minute. Oh, I don't really like that. Oh, no, that's not good. Oh, this isn't as important as I thought it was. And so I'd revise the list. And then there, at some point in time between law of attraction and revising my list over time, I recognized when I heard you are the creator of your own reality. Like that changed my life right there pretty much on a dime. And it felt so good because I thought, well, that's awesome. Now, some people don't hear that the same way. Some people hear, well, I didn't manifest rape. I didn't manifest a father that left me. I didn't manifest these bad things that happened to me. And there's a broader perspective to take here about what you have control over versus what you don't. And I think when it comes to all of this, at the end of the day, we still get control over what we think about, what we focus on, and how we feel about it, how we interpret things. So I don't know at what point I had just decided that, and I'm a big fan of not allowing things to have power over you. And that's how I heard that. I heard that if I want to change something, I absolutely have the power to do that. So I took that on and I went along my way and I was doing my business. And I think I'd met a guy who wanted to have me write a book. And by that point I got a book deal, but I hadn't a book yet. And it was right before, I guess, I had manifested my now ex-husband. But I did all the things that I teach people, all the things that I've been learning. Like I never stopped learning. It's always learning. And it's not, and I'm not anxious about it. It's just like things come in and I go, is this for me to implement? And if it's not, like I have a whole bunch of things I don't talk about on the show because I'm not that interested in them. They don't really fit. But I have what's in front of me, a really powerful tool called my feelings and needs list. And when you look at why do you want a relationship? So many people focus on relationships as being the thing that's going to get them happiness. And that's not true. Anything outside of you is never going to sustain happiness internally. So when I looked at, well, what is it that I want out of a relationship? What do I need? Well, maybe I want flowers. Maybe I want to feel intimacy. Maybe I want to go dancing. Maybe I want to go out to dinner. Maybe I want to cuddle on the couch and watch a movie. All the things that I wanted. I wanted companionship. All the things that I wanted, basically you have to provide for yourself anyway. So at the point where I attracted my ex-husband, it's funny because I have a gay dance partner who was going to Japan. And right before he left, he said to me, because he's going for 2 weeks, and he's like, when I get back, you're going to find your husband. I'm like, what are you talking about? You're like crazy. Well, he was pretty right. He left and I was just sort of emanating, again, joy and happiness all the time. I didn't need a man, which to me is exactly when you're going to get it. You're going to get what you want when you don't need it because you're not blocking it law of attraction wise with resistance, because you're not putting all of your eggs in one basket by thinking this is going to bring you happiness. So after all of that had happened, and I really didn't need a relationship, but I got one. And I basically like to say, like, I manifested him in 3 weeks, because from the time that I made my relationship vision board to the time where and I'd already met him, and that's a whole nother story. I'd already met him, but it had been 8 months since I had seen or talked to him. And all of a sudden he reached out. And then it was a pretty fast, like within the first 52-hour date, like we were getting married, and we were married for 10 years. We were together for 12, almost 13 years. And when the guy approached me about writing a book, I kept getting stuck in, I'm not the person who's lost. Yes, I've had shame. I've had body image issues. I've wanted to look better over the years. I care about my health, but I never had that huge like weight loss story that really facilitated me writing a book about fitness. And so I wrote a book called Fit to Love: How to Get Physically, Emotionally, and Spiritually Fit to Attract Love of Your Life. Because what I realized is that, and Daniela, I see your question and we can talk about that. I realized that in order for me to feel the things that I felt and be happy and have and take fitness, because I work with so many people over the years who wanted to lose weight, but when they got on the treadmill or when they were exercising, I could hear the subconscious go, I hate myself. I hate myself. I hate myself. I hate this. I hate this. I hate this. And that energy is never going to sustain you doing this. It's not. Even though most people don't love exercising or taking care of their health at a higher level, you can, again, from an energetic standpoint, you can do it from that point, which is totally disconnected from who you are. It's completely out of alignment. Or you can do it, even though you may not like it, but know that deep inside, it's out of a deep respect for yourself. And that was the difference of what I wanted to put out into the world of the fitness industry, was that it doesn't matter what you do. It matters the energy underneath it. Like, what's sustaining this? What's driving this train? And so for me, it's about that deep sense of self-love that you cultivate. It's deep sense of self-respect. So I'd manifested my husband, and again, perfect wedding. Like I still think about what a great wedding I had and all the things that were like, I wasn't that person that went up to get married and in the back of my head said, am I doing the wrong thing? Now, along the way, things happened that made me think, can I handle this? Can I do this? But I always checked in with my intuition, even throughout my marriage. Is it time to go? Is this still okay? And my intuition very deeply said, nope, stay put. You're right where you need to be, until the day that it wasn't. And my marriage was a perfect training ground for me to learn all the things that I know now. And it was a way for me to work it out. You know, a lot of people go to therapy and they go to therapy by themselves and they deal with their shit. Can I say that? No, they deal with their stuff.
Whatever you want. Yes.
Okay. They deal with their shit and they think, oh, I got this because I know it, but they don't embody it. What you know and what you do are two different things. Your awareness to something does not mean you embody it. No. And so for me, going through this marriage helped me to embody all of the teachings, the principles, using law of attraction to the best of my ability to make. I was never an unhappy person. Anyone that knew me during this time would have never said, oh my God, your marriage is, and it wasn't like horrible. It just wasn't good. There were many parts of it that weren't good. And there were parts of it that were okay, but it definitely wasn't what we both wanted. But I worked my butt off. I even started my podcast. So my first podcast was called Fit to Love. And it was really in order to help really seed information that would help us both grow and to not do it in such a way. So after that was over, just a quick, I'm using law of attraction and I'm really deliberately focusing on the good stuff. What is working? What do I appreciate? And what am I looking forward to? And I had a deep belief that I'd get what I wanted all the time. I knew I'd get what I wanted. I didn't know how. I thought it would be from him. But the minute I surrendered, the minute my intuition said, okay, he's never going to change in this environment ever. Because that's just who he is. He has his rhythm. He's got his habits, and this is what he does. In order for him to have a different point of view, he needs to go away. He needs to be out of this environment in order to have an epiphany, an aha moment, to have a whatever. And so when I finally got comfortable saying, okay, you can move out now. And I was going to give it like a year. I'm like, well, let's see what happens in a year. You go live your life. Let's see where we are and come back. And within 2 hours of us deciding that we were going to separate, the universe, boom, dropped in my lap exactly all the things I had been asking for years. And again, I didn't think it was going to be in another person. I didn't even want it to be in another person, but it was painfully obvious that I wasn't going to get what I wanted. I mean, it was going to be a lot of work and a lot of time and maybe never from my ex-husband, but the universe literally provided me. And I had shame about letting go because I wrote a book called Fit to Love. I was like, oh my gosh, what's going to happen now? I mean, I manifested my husband in 3 weeks. Well, I manifested Doug in 2 hours. So, like, check. And I wasn't trying. So I've been there. I know what it's like to be in a marriage where you're not happy. I know what it's like to be like all those things. But I'll tell you that my story basically is that you have to love yourself first, and you have to really do it. Not do it because you're waiting for the end. You have to really be comfortable being by yourself, loving yourself, doing the things. Otherwise, when the happiness is in front of you and it's never in you, you're never going to get there.
So good. So many things. So I want to back up because I don't want to assume that everyone here knows what the law of attraction is. And we're going to connect it back because I know you have a unique perspective on it and why people think it doesn't work, etc. So let's name what law of attraction is, and then let's move into more granularly, like speaking into what embodiment looks like, using feelings of your desired relationship so that ladies can start to feel into what this might be for them.
So simply put, the law of attraction is that like attracts like. So you attract where you are, not what you want. So if I'm in and we all emanate an aura, we emanate an energy about different subjects at different times. We fluctuate. It's really our emotions. So it's like when you cycle through emotions equal the frequency. And we all understand frequency when we think of a radio dial. Let's go back to old school radio, right? Old school radio, if you're in like 102.7, you can't hear what's being played on 96.3 because you're on the right frequency. And that's as simply as it is in physics. It's quantum physics that we all live at different frequencies, and so we can only see. It's like, I also liken it to like being in a really tall building, let's say a 15-story building, and you're on the 5th floor. All you know is what's on the 5th floor. You don't know what's happening on the 10th floor, the 1st floor, the 2nd floor, right? Because that's where you are. That's what your awareness is. While your frequency and your stories and your belief systems dictate what you're tuned to. And just like when people buy a car, when you buy a car and then all of a sudden after you buy your car, you see your car everywhere. It's not because everybody just went out and bought your car. It's because you're literally tuned to your car, and now you're seeing your car everywhere. You didn't see it 2 weeks ago or a month ago, but the minute you started like considering the car and looking at the car and studying the car, now literally you're in alignment with the car. Well, it's the same thing in life and frequency. You can't, if you run a program, a subconscious program that says, I have scarcity, I don't believe there's enough to go around. And then you're saying you want abundance and in form of love or time or energy or money, you're not going to get there from there because it's not what you actually believe, which is why I said in my story that I had a deep, deep belief that I was going to get what I wanted because I didn't know anyone who wanted it as much as I did. And because I had all the tools, I knew for sure, like this wasn't a mistake, me learning all this stuff. I'm going to get it because I've worked so hard for it. And because I'm so dedicated to it, I just know somehow I'm going to get it. It was a knowing. Mm-hmm. And so the law of attraction, basically, again, like attracts like, you attract where you are. And now someone might say, but I didn't want that bad thing that happened to me. 12% of your mind is conscious, 88% of subconscious. The 88% of your subconscious mind are the belief systems that you're not even aware that you have. And that a lot of the times is what you're really emanating. Because again, that's 88%. That's a huge part of your intuition, of your subconscious energetic system, that if you have a fear that nothing ever works out for you, even though you may affirm or say affirmations or do meditation, yet this program underneath keeps like thinking nothing ever works out for me, that's exactly what you're going to attract. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I just got done teaching a whole course on it, which is still available, a Law of Attraction Mastery course. But because people don't understand, they think it's like, oh, I just put some stuff on a vision board, or I say some affirmations, or I say that I want $1 million. But if you don't really believe you can get it, like really believe cellularly believe 100%, a deep, deep knowing and trust, then you're not going to get it because it's too far out of reach for you. It doesn't mean you can't want it. Doesn't mean you can't get it, but you have to believe it.
So we get to pause there because this is a really important thing you're saying. And I want to make sure that I imagine some people in this moment are feeling really triggered and alienated because they're like, wait, JJ, I don't believe it. So are you saying that I'm just doomed to stay single? So let's address all of the people right now who are like hating on themselves and going, she's separate, I can't have it. Let's talk to them.
Great. Right. So in that in that belief system, if those are your feelings and beliefs, then you're looking for love in all the wrong places. You're looking for the love to fill the hole that you have inside of you that can't be filled by somebody else or something else. So the work that has to be done in order for you to attract the kind of love that you want that will last is internal work within cultivating love and relationship within yourself. So Daniela had asked in the chat, how can I cultivate intimacy within myself?
Let me pause, JJ, one sec. I just want to make sure we're on the same topic. I'm speaking about the belief that it's possible for me. Like the people that are feeling, I'm not like JJ. I don't just believe I'm going to get it.
Okay. Right.
That part.
So we can't attract love from that place. Mm-hmm. It's very simple. If you do not believe you can get it, you won't get it. So you have to address the fact that you have to learn how to believe that you can, which is going to be, again, an internal work. It's going to be work on you, not work on it's looking for examples that it exists. It's reflecting on your self-care. It's reflecting on your self-talk. It's reflecting on why do you want it in the first place? It's reflecting on how can I get my own needs met so I don't need somebody else to have this. Does that make sense? Does that answer the question?
Let's see in the chat if anyone is still feeling like they have a lingering feeling like I don't really still like I feel that there's a way that by looking at feelings and needs that I can believe that love is possible. Is anyone still not totally enrolled? Let's just, because I don't want to assume other people.
Totally.
Does anyone still feel like I kind of don't believe and I don't really see how what was just said is going to address that? I don't want to assume.
Okay.
Exactly. That's what I was feeling. Same as Hannah. So how I think you've named it. And because you spent so much time hanging out there, JJ, that this is maybe like so obvious to you, but for some of us, can you just slow down and share how can pretend like you're talking to someone who's just like baby blue eyes? How can we start to believe that love and meeting our need, like that healthy love is possible through all the ways that you talked about?
Sure. Let's start with healthy love has to be possible with you first. Let's just forget like another person. If you don't love yourself, how do you expect anyone else to love you? If you don't treat yourself well, how do you expect someone else to sustain treating you well? You literally reflect to others how to treat you. So when you disrespect yourself because you have a deep-seated fear or belief or judgment about yourself, you will attract people to reflect that back to you. People are mirrors for you. Again, we attract where we are, not what we want. First, because again, there's a codependency with I need you and you need me, and we help each other feel better temporarily until the illusion of that beginning of a relationship starts to wear off. And then when we all kind of relax into it, now we're at a frequency where everybody's sort of showing each other where they are and what their core wounds are and reflecting that back and forth to each other. So when it comes to believing, it's about being honest. It's all the other things on top of this. How do I get a healthy love? By doing this, by doing this. If you're not good with you, we don't do any of that, because you're just going to attract somebody to reflect back to you the core wounds that you're living with, the disrespect you have for yourself, the distaste you have for yourself, the possible self-hatred that you have, which has to be healed before you have a healthy love. Otherwise, you will be in codependent relationships that are abusive and reflect back at you exactly what you're feeling about yourself. And then you'll blame that person for it, but it won't be that person. That person is reflecting back to you what you think about you. So that's, again, why I wrote Fit to Love. And it's about your relationship with you, not your relationship with how do I perform or change or do things in a way to have someone like me? How do I live and how do I be in order for me to love me?
So this is a really important point that we get to flesh out. And I'm just going to directly answer you, Hannah, from where my brain was like 8 years ago, how to get into believing it was possible. And I've heard you speak about this too, JJ, in a different context when we were talking about I asked you, how can people believe they can create healthy love if they've never seen it? And you said, identify what healthy love is for you and then go look for examples of it. So Hannah, to answer your question directly, that is another powerful way. It's like you basically do whatever it takes to come into having some reason, even if it's like 2% of you believes maybe this exists. For me, I filled my life with examples of it, meaning I didn't have people, but Gay and Katie Hendricks talked about it in their work. So conscious loving became stuff that I read, and I would look for, literally, I didn't see a relationship that had the things that I wanted. I was making it up because like nobody had what I was going for. So Hannah, it's like looking for examples of the thing until I really started to believe, okay, if they have that, something must be possible for me to create, even that if that's not exactly what I want. So just to directly answer your question before we return to embodying and meeting your own needs with JJ. I hope that addresses what your question was. You're welcome. Cool. So let's go back to this key piece, because actually, JJ, I think you're voicing the point of this summit, which is how to embody joy on the path to creating healthy, connected love. You and what you did and are is the reason this series is called this. So can you flesh out and slow down around, because you did so many things to embody the relationship you were going for. Can you share more about what that actually looked like? Because it's so powerful, like how you took yourself on in like treating yourself in all the ways.
Yeah. Well, when it came to my ex-husband and manifesting him, and I'll give a little bit of each, right? Because I'm single and I'm wanting a relationship. And then I'll also take that I was in a not great marriage and I want it to be better.
Yes.
Because many people use circumstance to justify their point of attraction and their frequency. So things around me aren't good, so I'm going to be mad about it. But yet I want something better, but I'm going to be mad about it. And again, the frequency of the problem and the frequency of the answer live in two different places.
Write that down.
You can't focus on a problem and be upset about it and think you're going to get the right answer. It lives in a different frequency. You can't get there from here. Okay. So back to, I'm single. And I just literally saw it, and it's all in the book. It's all in Fit to Love in terms of self-care, taking care of myself. It had to come from the place of, well, why am I doing this? Why do I actually deeply care about my health? I deeply care about my future. And I understand that taking care of my health means that in 10, 20, 30, 40 years from now, I will be a different body when I do things now. It's not just for weight loss. It's not just to get someone else's approval. And again, it has to be that you're seeking your own approval. It's what is it that you want? What is it that you're needing? Oh, well, like someone might say, well, I want someone to bring me flowers. Well, buy yourself flowers. I did a couple shows around Valentine's Day. And one of them was how, like, as a single person, how to make Valentine's Day your favorite holiday of the year. It's my favorite holiday because it's my turn to give to myself without expectation of somebody else giving to me. Every Valentine's Day, I literally take myself to the spa. I take the day off. I don't work on Valentine's Day. I exercise, and it's the whole day is about self-care for me. And if I'm in a relationship or if I'm not, I may have dinner with my partner. I may do something romantic if I have a partner. But when my ex-husband and I weren't good, maybe we had dinner, but I spent the whole entire day giving to myself. Yeah. And I even send out gifts for Valentine's Day. Like, I love Valentine's Day because the idea of having it be, oh God, I hope somebody gets me something or says something nice or gives me a nice card, or that is disempowering because you've just given all the power away to somebody else. So back to when I was single and looking for a relationship. But again, here's the thing. I wasn't looking, I was allowing. There's a whole different mindset to this. Law of attraction is about allowing and releasing resistance, not about when you effort something, when you're trying, you put up resistance and you block anything that's naturally wanting to come to you because you by trying, you're saying, I don't believe I'm enough. You say, I'm not, I need this to be happy. And here's the thing to write down. This is the bottom line for law of attraction. Ready? I'm going to say it very slowly. I'm going to say it twice.
Thank you.
Because this is the most important thing you will get ever if you've never heard it before. And if you repeat it every day, you will learn something very important. The only reason you want anything you want is because you think you'll feel better when you have it.
Boom.
And the trick of law of attraction is you have to feel those feelings now to ever get it. And guess what? When you feel the feelings, you don't need it.
Okay.
That's it.
Say that one more time for us. That's
the only reason you want anything, money, a relationship, health, the only reason you want what you think you want is because you think you'll feel better when you have it.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to feel it to get it. And when you feel it, you don't need it.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Which, in case anybody missed it, is why the tagline is how to embody joy on the path to creating connected, healthy love. Because I have learned after years of coaching women and in my own life that there's a lie that it's going to make us joyful when the love comes. No, you get to find what makes you joyful and be joy so that the partner aligned with you and your magnificence is like, hell yes, sign me up. So we're unhooking from the unconscious agenda around relationship and we're feeling all of the things we're expecting it to bring us now. So is that clear to everybody? Everyone catch that JJ just named why we're here? Throw down yes if that is clear. Good. Okay. Excellent. So then, then the question becomes how. So I know you have like crazy powerful tools, JJ, around how you practice your law of attraction from vision board, rampage of appreciation, appreciation list, what I'm looking forward to. Could you speak into some of these tools for the women to implement like now?
Sure. Yeah. And again, know that this isn't a blanket, like, hey, this is all you need for everybody. This is just a place to start because again, depending on those deeper belief systems and core wounds, if those are not addressed, then they can get in the way of whatever you're trying to do. But the most simplest things that I did, and I did it more in my marriage than before my marriage. So, well, Rebecca, how do you feel the feelings if they're subconscious? So the fact you're not trying to pull out, we're not trying to dig into negative feelings in the subconscious. So the bottom line is if you're feeling good, there's nothing to do. It's when we're feeling badly or when we're feeling off, do we need to attend to what kind of momentum we're creating? So law of attraction practices are about emphasizing, reestablishing new neural pathways, tuning yourself to a different frequency longer to override your subconscious patterns to start to change them. They're not going to wipe away everything like right away, but the more you do it, the more you practice it, the more you're going to change your brain patterns. So the first thing that I do, and I actually run a clubhouse every week, and sometimes it's not me running it, sometimes it's my trainers, but actually next week I'll be running it myself. And it's a law of attraction and manifestation club, but I do activate law of attraction with rampage of appreciation. So rampage of appreciation is an exercise where you have a partner. We're doing a lot on Marco right now, but I really enjoy and used to really love just doing it on the phone because the phone has a start and an end time and it's only audio, not video. But rampage of appreciation would be where you get a partner, someone who understands the rules, and you would call and leave a message to milk the good stuff. And you'd want to use the entire voicemail, whether it be 2 minutes or 4 minutes, the entire voicemail. When I did this at my first Manifestation Bootcamp in 2019, I left a half an hour in the time slot to do this because I think, this is going to be easy. And then everybody had a hard time doing 3 minutes of rampaging. I was like, holy cow. All right, we're doing it for an hour. So this year for the bootcamp, we're doing it for an hour. I mean, in terms of rotating partners, because so many people were uncomfortable and couldn't find joy. So this is a practice of just like exercising, strengthening the muscles of tuning yourself to what is working. So for instance, I will help you all out right now. You can say, I appreciate that I have an abundance of money to have a home and clearly a Wi-Fi signal and a computer to be streaming this right now. I appreciate my health to be present. I appreciate my intellect to be taking in this information. I appreciate my dedication to myself in order for me to be here today and to be listening to this. And I appreciate that I am empowered enough to want to take this information. Okay, that's what you do.
So for how long? For how
well,
long?
I think at minimum, it needs to be 2 minutes at minimum. All right. But I would say the longer, the better. But also it's about milking the good stuff. So what happens when you get triggered and you are upset because somebody said something and hurt your feelings, which by the way, no one can hurt your feelings. And all of a sudden you're like, ugh, like you tell 10 people, well, what do you think you're strengthening? You're strengthening that. You're keeping that very active. But how many times has something good happened to you and you don't tell anybody? So it's about having the opportunity to connect with somebody. So for me, there was one time, oh God, years ago where my very first Rampage partner who I had for over 10 years.
Wow.
I must have called her 4 times in one day, because after I called her the first time, then something else good happened. I called her again. Then something else good happened. I called her again. Then something else good happened. I called her again. Right. Because I'm keeping this active, and they're little things like I got a free pair of shoes and I got a free pair of jeans. And I went and I got a cup of coffee once and a creamer. Like I bought a creamer at Whole Foods and the bill was $4.44. I was like, $4.44. That's so cool. Alignment. Like I went on and on about that it was $4.44. Okay. So, just like little things
in case you don't know.
Right. Yes. I know it's an angel number. So, that when we start tuning ourselves to what the best, because I'm telling you, there are things happening in your experience that you're not aware of because you're not paying attention to them. You're looking for the big deals. You're looking for the big things. You're looking for some and so it's where your point is, where you're directed at. So Rampage of Appreciation is the first one. And again, even just having a daily practice of calling somebody and you don't answer the phone and you do not talk with them. You don't even address it. You leave a message. That's the point. You leave a message on the voicemail. You use the entire voicemail until it cuts you off. If you are just getting started, make sure it's a partner who's okay with it. You leave a couple different messages, right? Sometimes I'd leave 3 messages in a row because I wanted to flesh something out and I wanted to really milk it. But you keep it present and you use the words, I appreciate. So quickly, I did a whole entire podcast episode on the difference between gratitude and appreciation. Mm-hmm. When you say gratitude, many times, most people have a little energy of negative in gratitude, because normally people say, I'm grateful for this thing that I had because before it was so bad. And you're literally carrying the energy of that thing that was bad forward. Appreciation tends to be cleaner with no story in the back. Now, that's not, again, they're just words. Anyone can do anything, but we tend to find that appreciation is a lot cleaner frequency than gratitude. So you say, I appreciate, and then you talk about what you appreciate. Now, the other point of this is to actually feel the feelings. You can't just talk about it and be mad. Or, I appreciate this bad thing. You have to, that's the embodiment piece. It has to activate you. So do it until you feel better. We're searching for the feeling, everybody.
Write that down. We're searching for the feeling.
But we're also creating the feeling.
And we're creating the feeling.
Yeah.
By appreciating it.
Right.
Quick question before you continue. How is this distinct in its effect on our feelings than, say, a gratitude journal? Besides just the semantic difference, why is calling someone, what's the power of that?
Well, because you're putting it out into the universe. First of all, you're speaking it. So not only are you thinking it, you're speaking it, and then you're hearing yourself say it, right? So we have a lot more neurological involvement and cellular involvement than just writing it down. Writing it down is good too, but you can't fake not feeling it. Like, let's say I call somebody and I'm in a bad mood and I appreciate some. Now that would be where you and your partner might want to say, yeah, I'm going to call bullshit on, like, you were actually not in a good mood. Like you were actually saying you were going through the routines, so that putting it out there forces you to be authentic and really find the feeling about it. Oh my gosh. Okay. Yes, I do appreciate that. I appreciate that the sun is shining and that I live in a place where it's always warm all the time. And the sun is like, I get enough vitamin D, whatever. Like you on a gratitude list, you could be disconnected a little bit.
That's so cool.
However, that's another practice, but we'll talk about that in a second. So Rampage of Appreciation is my favorite exercise, which is why for I don't know how many months now we've been doing it on Clubhouse, because there's nothing more simple than I wanted to give my community another way to do it. Like, here, come with us on Clubhouse and practice, like do it with everybody. Don't just witness it, do it, practice, be it. Because most people, when I first started doing it, I'd have them ask them, how many of you feel better now than you did when you first got here? And everybody's like, yes, I feel better. Right. And that's the point. We're trying to activate you feeling better, because that's all you're looking for anyway.
Yes. Love it. That's so great. Thank you.
Yeah.
Clear.
So Rampage Appreciation is the first one. And then the second is an appreciation list. But I'm going to tell you there's 2 different ways to do it and to apply it. And I did this mostly during my marriage. I would, because we had different schedules, I'd go to bed earlier because I had to wake up earlier to go to clients. And I created a ritual around going to bed. Like I had my salt lamp on, I had some hypnosis I'd listen to as I was going to bed with my eye pillow, just so that I could leave a little light on for him or give him a flashlight when he came in. But I would do my appreciation list before I went to bed at night, because what happens, what do most of you do? And any of you who have anxiety, which is probably a lot of people, you go to bed at night and you're thinking about all the things you didn't do and all the things that you have to do for tomorrow. And then it wakes you up in the middle of the night because you have a little stress about it because you're trying to remember it. The brain's trying to hold it. And even if you write it down on a to-do list, if you're concerned about it, because that's what you're focused on, tomorrow, or what didn't I do? So appreciation list will embody and sort of take a completedness and complete, if you will, the day. So what did I appreciate about today? I appreciate that I drank enough water today. I appreciate that I gave myself an hour break in between blah, blah, blah. I appreciate, and it doesn't matter what it is. It just matters that you take a moment to reflect on what did work, what do you appreciate, and then tune yourself to that. Now, I wouldn't stop there. I would go from the appreciation list to another page, which is what I did. And I have a whole book of it that when I manifested Doug, like I could see all of what I wrote. So even if the appreciation list are thin ick situation and you appreciate the things that happen, but it's still not enough to get you like super excited. Like maybe you're at peace, but you're still a little ick. Okay. So the next page is, what am I looking forward to? And you write down, what am I looking forward to? And I would do things like, I'm looking forward to someone who's going to hold my hand and walk down the street all the time. I'm looking forward to someone who's going to dance with me, someone who's going to be involved in self-growth and want to read books together and be happy to go to retreats together. I'm looking forward to somebody who isn't afraid of my learning and getting bigger, I'm looking forward to and I would just write all that stuff down, which is why, again, when Doug sort of showed up, I knew it was the universe saying, this is what you want, because he literally was everything on the list. Like everything.
So powerful. And so just so we're clear, so is the appreciation list, do you find, JJ, that writing that that one takes the form not of talking it out loud, but of like writing that one down?
Yes.
And if so, why is writing versus just, I'm thinking the thought in my head? Like, what is it?
Well, it creates all these exercises create momentum. Mm-hmm. What happens when you keep things in your head is because it never lets out, it creates an internal anxiousness, if you will, like it's not out of you. And I love the fact that, yes, there is definitely a body brain connection. When you're writing something, it absolutely can activate different parts of your brain, because a lot of us don't write anymore. We type or we talk, we don't write. So writing is important to do. I think they both are, which is why, again, I think the Rampage Appreciation and the appreciation list need to go hand in hand. One can be in the morning. Like I love Rampage Appreciation in the morning and your appreciation list at night, but don't stop with the appreciation list. Write the things you're looking forward to. Get excited about what you want. Be clear about what you're looking forward to, and then feel it and embody it. And when you write it, well, I love that I wrote it, because I could literally look and say, yep, all these things, like every day that I would write are Doug. And I would be so focused on what I was looking forward to, what I couldn't wait to, because I would feel it, right? That's all a vision board is supposed to do for you. Most people don't do vision boards right either. Like getting a treadmill and just looking at it, thinking they're going to lose weight. You have to use the thing, right? And so the activation part is when you're looking at or reading something and it moves you, you feel better. That's like the most important part about all of this. None of this will work if it doesn't move you to feel better.
That's so powerful. So that would suggest then and you do use vision boards, right?
I do. And I have several. And I teach people how to use them, not just make them. Right. And because again, like I said, treadmill that you buy doesn't help you lose weight if you don't use it. Putting
to that, like what it is to use the vision board. Yeah.
What it's like to use it is after you put it up, that you stand in front of it. I have a whole 8-minute meditation that goes through the visualization process where you pick a picture. And I always tell people to pick the picture of the day. Don't just use the same one over and over again. In fact, I have a manifestation challenge I do. It's a free 30-day manifestation challenge. I forget when the next one is. It might be August. And it's included in this free visualization. But I tell people, like, just again, this is where we have to click into our feelings and our intuition. This isn't about muscling through doing something. This is about being present in your body. So looking at a vision board that you've created, like just looking at it and seeing what picture sticks out to you, what picture moves you, and then focusing on that and really looking at it, looking at all the parts of it. How does it smell, taste, touch, and feel? And then closing your eyes and then being there in the picture until it activates your body into feeling, like I'd call it a vibrational orgasm. Like you get the little like flitter of energy throughout your body and your spine, wherever, a little tingling until you're there. And then when you get that, you're like, okay, I'm there. And then you just ride the wave of that because you've now like clicked into the frequency at which you want to receive that which you want. And then and then you sustain it as long as you can. Now, you're not going to be able to sustain it all day, every day. That's not life. Life is contrast to create clarity, to show us what we are doing, to reflect back our subconscious patterns. But the practice of doing it gets easier and easier to sustain that. Like I don't, because of my life now, I do some practices, but I don't need to do them as much as I used to because I'm living it all the time.
Yes, you are. You so are. It takes a little bit of time, I think, for some of us to catch up to you, to be like, what are you saying? Like, you're like, and we're like, oh, we're like, ooh.
Sorry, this is being recorded and you get to watch the replay, right? So,
yes.
or buy the VIP ticket and watch the replay. But sorry, people on my show are normally used to my it's the passion. I know I'm sometimes a fire hose. I'm sorry. I have podcasts and they're about this fast too. Sorry, unless I'm the interviewer.
I apologize. It's all perfect.
Thanks, Jacqueline. Jacqueline, do you listen to my show? You were shaking your head earlier.
I've caught a couple of your shows, but I'm not a regular listener, but I love your work and am right in the game with you.
Thank you. Well, I saw earlier when Anastasia was reading my bio, I saw you shaking your head like, yeah. I'm like, does she listen to my show? So I'm just curious. All right. Awesome.
Excellent active listener. She acknowledges. So just to summarize how we can make this useful, it's like we get to become the feelings that we wish to have, and we'll partly get clear on that through what am I looking forward to, writing that out nightly until we're feeling it, and then creating a vision board that aligns with it, allowing those feelings, rampage of appreciation to get us into appreciation. Anything else, embodiment practices?
Yeah, let me clarify something because it's like we're putting it all in one big bucket. Okay, so there's two main things here. There's what do I want to be feeling?
Okay.
And what is it that I'm needing? Those are two separate things.
Okay.
All right. Now, yes, you only want what you want because you think you'll feel better when you have it. So we want to activate and that's the power that you have right now. I want to read this question real quick. I used to do these lists and X read them and laughed at it. And a few girlfriends who came home found it and it was the same. This is woo-woo. Writing lists and tearing it up. Does that lessen the effort? There's an energy around like you want to like write and burn things you don't want. You don't want to get rid of things that you do want. So, Becky, I would say for you, okay, this is good because when we look for validation outside of ourselves for things we want or we're doing, we by default will then click into their frequency. And I would say this is where we have to honor, like we don't lay your pearls before swine. Is that the saying? You don't want to show people who are not, you want to be very, you want to have good boundaries around who you share with, who you do these practices with, because not everyone is going to be on board with it. And half of you might not even be on board with it, but I'm just telling you that it works. But and maybe in the future you'll try it, but you have to, again, going back to feelings and needs. So what do you need? If you're needing validation from someone who's not on the same page as you, you're not going to get it. So you already know, you have to know your audience before you go to share something. If you're looking for approval from those who have no idea what you're doing, then you're already getting a reflection back of the fear that you have about doing it, right? Or the uncomfortableness of doing it. So I would say you have to protect that. and keep it quiet, or find a group, be in this group, find a group that harnesses and holds the space for you to grow. Because that's one of the things with my ex-husband, I only allowed myself to grow as much as I thought I could without him being terribly uncomfortable.
So powerful. Pay attention to this. Continue.
Well, okay, I'm going to enter Becky. It's practically, how do I hide it? I'm not saying to hide it, but at the same time, I would not try to defend it, and I would not ask for someone's approval. It's like when someone says something to you. I had someone come on my YouTube channel once and say, "You're too skinny. You don't know what I'm talking about. You don't know what it's like, blah, 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 blah." And I remember all I could hear was the person's pain. It didn't bother me at all. Mm-hmm. But then I had like somebody on the podcast, every time like someone says something negative to you, the trigger already lives inside of you. Again, it's just a mirror. So if you are in agreement with that, if you're unsure about that, they're just reflecting back to you what is unsure. I've had people tell me law of attraction doesn't work. And I'm like, okay, cool. Like, I'm glad, I'm like, well, I don't need to defend it. I know without a shadow of a doubt, this shit works because I'm living it. And so someone wants to be combative. They're just trying to like prove themselves, or they want their own validation. So it's about the embodiment piece of believing, like if like something about yourself, if you know you're a kind person and someone says to you, "Becky, you're so mean," would that actually bother you? Probably not, because it's not true. And also if your love language is words of affirmation, then you got to be real careful, because you're always looking for words to validate you. Again, so I got real complex on that because this is not a very easy answer, but back to the needs and feelings.
Yes, please.
And I have this also as another free gift if people want the feelings and needs, but you have to, so here's what I'm looking for. I'm looking to feel happy and joy, but I'm not going to get it from someone else. But then you're like, but I don't know how to feel happy and joy. How do I feel happy and joy? You go to look at what need is not being met that's causing whatever circumstance you're in right now. And that need is not about someone else doing it for you. That is about a need you need to do for you, whatever that looks like. So in the case of, I'm going to use Becky as an example. So Becky was wanting to feel like, so when that happened with your book, your appreciation book, you were probably maybe embarrassed. You were feeling a little fearful, maybe uneasy, maybe withdrawn, maybe a little shame. Okay. Why? What is your need? Well, your need is for love and respect, but you're not going to get it from them. You have to get it from you. And that's the point when we give our power away to others to say, "I can only feel this if you give it to me, or if I see it in you," well, you're never going to win that. You'll always be a victim. So we have to say, what do I want from them? I wanted their respect, but they didn't give it to me, which means, guess what? I'm disrespecting myself by listening to what they say and using that as my reason to change my belief about myself. If you know something is good for you, then you have to work on, that's just an indicator of, well, man, how do I love and respect myself more? Do I exercise regularly? Do I create better boundaries for myself? How is my self-talk? Do I say nice things to myself? Do I ask for what I wanted? Do I articulate the things that bother me? Or like, you have to take a broader perspective of, do I love and respect myself? And that's what Fit to Love was all about, was looking at how I use self-care. Because if you don't take care of yourself, you are not loving and respecting yourself. That's the first way. So whether it be using exercise or meditation or vacations or flowers or dancing or giving yourself time off or boundaries or whatever, each person's going to be different. But generally, how do I love and respect myself? And if you can't name a couple ways, well, then we have some work to do.
Okay, two clarifying things that are not clear in my head, which I imagine means they're not clear necessarily to somebody else, would be, well, the first one's clarifying. The second one is a thought I'm sure people are having, which is, sure, JJ, but there's just some things I can only feel with a partner. Like I could only, like, how could I generate the feeling of cherished? Or how could I feel the feeling of sexy? How could I generate the feeling of desired? Like, I want to give you a moment to engage the people who are having that thought.
Sure. Again, I would ask, why are you looking to feel those feelings right now in terms of cherished? Cherished already indicates I'm looking for someone to reflect back at me who I am. I can feel cherished. I can feel cherished about the contribution I make in the world and who I am, without asking for it. If you are doing what you love, if you are living in your zone of genius, if you are honoring who you are and what you want, and you're living and you're showing up in your life in that way, life will reflect that back to you. Right? Do you have kids? Do you have friends? Do you have animals? Do you see their love for you? Are you already accepting the love that's already around you? Or are you so focused on getting some kind of new love to validate you? So when it comes to the cherished point, I would say if I have a need for someone to cherish me, I am looking for, like, I'm still looking for love in all the wrong places. I'm looking to be validated. I can cherish me. I don't have to have someone else do it. Now, in terms of intimacy, I would say when it comes to sexual expression, yeah, maybe not without another person, but honestly, two things. One, self-pleasure for being by yourself. Get a vibrator, everybody, or multiple toys. They're very fun. And if you don't masturbate, you better start, because that disconnection with your own body basically says that I have to be with somebody in order to feel these feelings. You don't. This is, again, that integration of embodying your own sensuality, which you're not going to have good sex anyway if you can't do it for yourself. But then there's also, and I'm going to say this again, I don't know what everyone's religious perspective is here, but when I first read Dr. Sheree Carter Scott, If Love is a Game, These Are the Rules, and I identified that what I needed was companionship. I already had it in a roommate of mine who was a man. I wasn't sleeping with him. But it made dating a lot easier because I wasn't trying to lock somebody into companionship because I got that. So all of a sudden, when I would date and I would sleep with them, I was able to have like, oh, I had a good time with this person and I had some sex and it was good sex. Or this person was like, it wasn't the greatest sex, right? So I'm not attached to trying to force somebody to be everything for me because my true need at the time was just companionship. And I already had that. So now I could date and have boundaries and not try to make somebody be everything. So again, I would just question that if this is the conversation that we're having about how do I feel these things, and you haven't had a successful relationship, or you have identified throughout today's conversation that you're not loving and respecting yourself enough, I think there's a lot more work to start with before we need to get to like that level. And I think in order to cherish and embody, you have to like yourself. You have to like your body. You have to be comfortable with that. And that's very important when you do have sex with somebody, right? So we want to do that before we get into a relationship, and we don't want to ask for a relationship just to help us get there.
Yeah. That makes me just want to throw out the caveat in case there's anyone going, oh, fuck me, I hate my body. That means I'm going to need to wait until I weigh, like, 'cause I won't like myself and my body until I weigh 90 pounds. That means that I can't have love. I just want to not have that thought go on. Again, and this is where I'm going to go back to the only statement that matters as far as I'm concerned in life is the only reason you want what you want is because you think you'll feel better when you have it. If you can't love and appreciate you where you are, right,
please look around. How many people have relationships of all shapes and sizes? It really has nothing to do with that. Again, that's the self-talk within you that needs to be healed and transformed. And that's the relationship you need to work on before you're ever asking anybody else to participate.
Yes. Could you, thank you, go back? Because I feel like you wanted to say a distinction around wanting versus needing. And I'm not clear yet on what you were making.
And again, I have to use this list because it's just so easy. So it's 100 feeling words, and then it's like 86 needs. Most of us don't operate. We hear needs and we think needy. No. There's 86 like these are human needs. Okay. And like acknowledgement. So if you need acknowledgement and you're not giving it to yourself, then you will do things and manipulate people to try to get it.
Got it.
So it's being able to, again, that being whole is I'm responsible for my happiness. I'm the creator of my own reality. You have to acknowledge what your needs are and find multiple strategies to get them met so that you don't become this desperate victim of circumstance to other people because you're waiting for a relationship for you to feel love, or you're waiting for a relationship to feel play. Okay, play. Can we just lean into play for a second? Oh, I can't play until I have a relationship because then I'll be able to travel. Then I'll be able to go to concerts. Then I'll be able to go to dinner dates. Bullshit. This is where, ask a friend. It was really great to have a gay dance partner who was male. He did kind of like, having your Stanford, that's like not a bad thing. They are great substitutes, and they'll even get intimate with you sometimes because they just don't care. Like they love, I'm not saying I had sex with him. I didn't have sex with him. I'm just saying he was married to a woman before he came out, always been gay. But there is this central, like gay men love women. They love them in all shape and sizes. They can be judgy, but some of them just like love you, and they don't want to sleep with you. So the compliments you get are real. So again, you find yourself putting yourself in situations where you're getting the things that you want, like laughter and joy, like do those things. Rotate quality time with friends, even male friends, female friends, families. Like you have to decide. Yeah, I had a Stanford. You have to decide that your desires are important enough for you to get them met. And
just for everyone who's typing, I want a Stanford. Like, I hope that you heard the sentence that preceded this, that I get to know what I need and generate multiple sources of it. So everyone who's going, oh, well, I don't have a Stanford, I can't. No, her point is that we get to source. If we don't yet have a Stanford, we get to find 16 different ways that we feel. I dance with women. Like I've learned Argentinian tango with ladies. You don't need a Stanford. There's 16 ways you could come up with to have a Stanford experience. So continue. I just wanted to nip that.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. No, it would be fun, Carol. And it is fun, but he wasn't there all the time. Right. So the point is that the whole strategy is you identify the feeling, if it's negative, that you're having, you identify the need that's not being met, that's creating the feeling. And then you create strategies, more than one, to get the need met. Now, that doesn't require anyone else to be different, but it doesn't mean that you don't involve people. If your need is for companionship, then like schedule every week, you have a regular lunch date or have a sleepover of like girlfriends or something. Like find the way to have companionship that doesn't have to be a boyfriend, a husband, a partner, a sexual partner, whatever. Because underneath, again, you can be, in case some of you are married or have been married, you know this. Just because you're in a relationship doesn't mean you get all your needs met. And it doesn't mean you're happy. So like get that out of your head right away. It's more work when you get in a real relationship than it is when you're not in one. So do the work now to make you the best you can be. So it's easier when you're in it. Cause I'm telling you, even with Doug, we had a moment of, and it wasn't ever hard because he had 2 marriages before me. So he was really ready and he had heartbreak for the first time. So when we started to see our marriage, like our stuff in our marriages creep into our relationship, we went to a workshop. We used the couples dialogue because we never want to repeat that again. And we have the tools and we're both willing to do it. So, don't have the illusion that, when I get the person, everything's going to be perfect. It's always going to be happy. I'm never going to be upset. Yeah. It can get worse.
Powerful. Oh my gosh, JJ, this is so, so rich. I want you to have time in the 2 minutes we have left to share about Fit to Love, the gift that you're sharing with people.
Yeah. So if you want a free copy of my book, Fit to Love, that's the long link. Otherwise it's jjflazanes.com/fit to love, the number 2, FIT2LOVE. That is the free book. Can I share how to get this?
Sure.
Okay. I'll type it in. It's jjflazanes.com/feelings list. Because it's a game changer to just be able to identify. I use the sheets every day. I use them with all my clients because until we identify, I was writing Fit to Love, feelings list. Okay. So feelings list, and it will give you this. Plus in Law of Attraction, there's a vibrational scale of where your emotions are, and you'll get that also with this. But yeah. And of course I have a podcast. So most importantly, my free gift is I have a million podcasts and I hope you'll check it out. I have one called Women, Men, and Relationships. I have Fit to Love. I've got Spirit, Purpose, and Energy, but I'll give you a hint. They all have the same content. So they all have the same episodes pretty much, except for like something to whine about and sales training for podcasters. So if you find one of my main shows, literally just check them. They all have the same episodes, but I'd love for you guys to subscribe to the show. It is free. I've got hundreds and hundreds of episodes on the shows.
And probably listening to them will be a good way to elevate your vibration if you're feeling stuck, among many other things, I'm guessing.
That's what I've heard.
Awesome. Final thought on the one thing you would say in closing to support the ladies to embody joy on their path to creating healthy, connected love.
You want me to say one last thing?
Mm-hmm. If you want to, you don't have to.
To remember that you incarnated in this life, in this body at this time to learn these lessons, and that everything that happens does have a reason, but it's not necessarily a reflection of your worth. In fact, you get to decide your self-worth, and you are already worthy. If you have any relationship to God, to source, to universe, Buddha, Jesus, Allah, whoever, like if you have any external thing, know that you are loved. And this life is about working out, expressing that love and that highest version of that. So you're already whole, you're already worthy, and you're already loved, and you already deserve everything that you want, that you could possibly imagine. There is no scarcity of time, money, love, or abundance. You are not taking anything away from anybody else. And your job is just to feel better about all of that and get closer and closer to receiving that which is already yours.
JJ Flizanes, ladies and ladies, thank you for being with us. This was so huge. Love, love, love. Have such a great rest of the day.
Mwah. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.